encountered, and I've interviewed a lot of them. And he lives here.
Now, I never heard of a profound person. So this is good. What is how is he profound?
Well, a profound is where you take perceptions and put them into concepts, and you understand the concept of something. That's a profound person. Most people deal with precepts. What's happening? You have to go way back to figure out what's happened over the last 200 years, and Keith can do that.
Okay. So that's Keith
Howard.
Nice to see you, Keith.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show. Have you done radio before?
Not radio, but I've done television as a play-by-play person.
Oh, play-by-play with what?
Well,
Sports?
color, actually, sports, tennis.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I actually do the color work for Eastern State Florida College, tennis.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. So you still play?
A lot.
Yeah. How are your knees?
My knees are fine because I play on clay. If I played on hard court, they'd be terrible.
How many years have you been playing?
Let's see, 40-something years.
Well, we got a lot of famous tennis players in here.
Well, you have a lot in Vero Beach. We have Marty Fish, who's...
We have Marty Fish. I was up working out, and I met, who's the guy that's the world champ?
Ivan Lendl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice guy, always full of jokes.
Really?
Yeah, I've met him a number of times. Well, he goes to the same place I go, and we talk and chat and stuff. Hey, I had to get him down here sometime to talk. And then there's another fella... I'm thinking, what do I see in my head? A K? I forget. Anyway, he trained like McElroy. What's his name?
McEnroe?
Yeah, McEnroe. He trained McEnroe. Trained a whole
Is that Kitchell?
Kitchell. Gary Kitchell. You know him.
Yes, I know Gary.
This guy's world famous as a trainer.
And he lives here?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I didn't know he lives here now.
Yeah.
He used to be in New Jersey, so.
He was on my show a few years ago. So he flies up, and he's in New York a week later. He says he's walking down Madison Avenue, and somebody yells at him, "Hey, Gary, I heard you on Rhett Palmer's show." And that's before we had iHeartRadio going. He says, "Man, this is a small world."
Gary's a better trainer than he is a player.
Yeah, he's a trainer. He's a teacher.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's very good, and he's very entertaining.
Now, what have you done for a living most of your life?
I guess I would be, you'd call me a systems engineer, project manager, that type of thing. So I actually worked for Ross Perot back in the real EDS days.
Really? Now, how was it working with Ross Perot? You knew him personally, got to work with him directly?
Well, I didn't work with him personally, but I got to meet with him a few times, like in the lunchroom and stuff like that. Fascinating person.
Why?
Just dynamic. I mean, you just can't. I mean, do you hear the little squeaky voice when he's on? But when you're talking to him one-on-one, you just
Can you hear
realize.
that sound? A big sucking noise?
That's right. And
he was right.
And I know my wife's a CPA, and when he was running for office, she goes, "Why don't all politicians do this where they show graphs and stuff like this?" Because he did those 30-minute commercials.
He's not a politician, you know?
Right? He's not. And
but now, I don't know, do you think Trump has ruined that? I mean, I've been wanting a CEO in office forever. I thought Romney would be a good CEO because he's done very well in life. You know, he only started off with, 50 grand or something. People think that daddy hands them all this money. It's not always the case. Same with Trump. His dad didn't give him a bunch of money. He had a little bit of money, but that little bit does help, I have to admit. You know?
Starting out with $1 million's not bad.
Hey, you can start with 10 grand, and grandma gives you 10 grand, you can buy a house, that can lead to a bigger house, and that can lead to that, and then you can leverage that, yeah. But it is that kickstart. One nice thing about Canada is, they give young people a kickstart, the government. I don't know if it's much, but if you want to go into business, they will fund you. I don't know if it's 10 grand or something. It's too bad we don't have some sort of a program like that.
Well, we're small business administration that helps.
Loans.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, you know that small business that's the consultants that supposedly are retired executives that come and help you.
The scope.
Well, I've had Scope on here a number of times and asked to meet with them. Once they're on the radio show, they never answer my calls.
I have.
That's truth. I swear.
No, I had mentioned that to the person that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, this country is easy to get capital compared to other countries. I mean, it's much easier to find a venture capitalist or someone who's willing to invest in you or a bank. You go to another country, it's brutal. I mean, especially just to start a business.
You have to be family.
Yeah.
Now
Or you have to pay off the right people.
Now, you were a systems engineer?
Right.
I thought your background was finance.
Well, when I graduated during the recession, so there weren't jobs.
Which recession? The
like
2008 recession?
75.
Oh, 75.
Yeah, I'm not that. I look old if I was that. No. So back then, hardly anybody got a job in their field, and so I took one of these IBM tests, and then all of a sudden
They said you had a proclivity for finance or
no, I had
numbers?
it for being a systems engineer.
Oh, because you were in finance.
Right.
That's right. 2075. That's when, yeah, I remember that. I remember that I thought I'll never own a house because the interest rate was 18%.
That's right.
I thought the day, and and back then, a lot of us, I don't know, maybe it's just a reaction of a naive, 21-year-old, but I thought that's it. It'll never come down again, and we've sank.
Yeah.
But things change.
Well, I didn't think we'd ever be able to turn the lights on. So I remember back then. I mean, people think the 2008 recession was bad. I mean, the 70s. I mean, gas lines. I mean, nobody
Yeah.
put out Christmas
Carter.
lights. I mean, it was
that's
a
right.
disaster.
I remember the
Turn
gas
the heat
lines.
down.
Yeah. I remember the gas lines in Albany, New York.
And that's when the scientists said there was going to be an ice age.
There is.
Did
going to
they
be an
really?
Yes, back
said-
then. Back then they said we used to hear all this, and I used to tell people, "Well, don't worry about it. When the ice hits Chicago, business people will figure out how to keep it at bay."
Well, there's it's a sad thing. There are there are millions, multiple millions of nice, normal people. And essentially I'm one of them. But we're also very naive, the proletariat. But I've just been doing this show long enough after 23 years that I can see, I probably don't even have my head out of the water, but I can see some sunlight up there, and I can see the manipulation that's foisted upon the citizens of this country. I mean, if you take $1 and follow it, they have no idea. I don't know if you guys have an idea. You might have an idea. You were in finance. But how much money the government takes in every day. It's just outrageous.
And wastes.
Follow $1, yeah. Follow $1, but because there's no accountability. Follow $1 today. I give you $1, Stanford, and then you go to Dick and buy something, and then we give it to Keith. Well, every time the government makes money on this, that I earn it. Okay, what is that? It's at least 20%. If you took everything into account for that 50, how much am I paying on that dollar? 40 cents?
46%, 46 cents. Is
Okay,
what the
46
government
cents.
takes.
Then I hand it to you. You got to pay for it. They've already made the dollar back. Okay. So they've already made the dollar. Then you pass it on. So they've already made $1 off it. They have not the dollar back. They have no rent, no nothing, no employees, no nothing. Okay. So there's $1. Now you hand it over to Dick, and then he hands it over to Keith. There's another $1, and throughout the day. So you're talking what? $20, $30 on every dollar every day that's moving around the United States.
Yeah, we call that velocity of money, right?
Yeah.
There's a term for it, huh? The concept, and if people only knew. And you're right. And Dick knows. Dick, you were the former deputy director of the CIA. I mean, I know one story.
I just spent money. I didn't.
Yeah. I heard about you guys. I know one story with the CIA where they put $3 million in little bags every month, and it's given to the Turks. And this is just one incident, and that's $36 million a year of your money, folks. And it's, you do know about these things, but you can't talk
No,
about it.
I
You
don't
have to
know.
shoot
I
me.
don't know about
Come
that
on.
particular thing, but it doesn't surprise me.
Oh, it doesn't surprise you. Why do they do that? They're paying off the government to pacify them, or what's going on, Dick?
Probably get a lot of cooperation and assistance and things coming out of it.
Can you imagine?
We-
I tell you what, I make a deal. Would you go back? You
No.
informed her. Go
Right?
back.
I'm going to answer it now. No.
$3 million a month, and I will say nice things about anybody you want me to. Whatever you want me to do. I'll even drive the limousine. $3 million, $36 million a year. Yes. After 1 year, we're having to Rhett. He's in Italy, living with the Clooney clones.
I interviewed Arthur Fromm. You remember the Fromm
Fromm.
books? Yeah, all the books on Europe and Asia Fromm.
Yes.
Arthur Fromm got his initial investment from the
government?
intelligence community. Arthur Fromm. Oh. That came out.
And you want to know there was a guy that came here to put locks on my door. This is a number of years. Don't come here if you're with the police force, because I don't remember. I honestly don't. He came here a few years ago to put locks on the door. He said he gets another $100,000 a year from the government that they can call him at any time, day or night. He's on call. He says, I might get 2 or 3 calls the whole year for that extra 100,000. But when they call him, he's got to be there to let them in, to pick a lock.
Oh, that's he's pretty
You
good
know?
at what he does.
Now that's just me learning about Little Vero Beach, Florida. What goes on? It's just incredible. You know, and you really, I walk down the street with Mark, the hair guy, and we a couple nights a week we walk, and I go, we're just, what are we? What did the guy who they said, I'm pansies. The guy who shot Kennedy said, I'm just a pansy. You know.
Which one? Lee Harvey Oswald?
Yeah. He said, I'm just a pansy.
I thought he said Pat. I didn't think he said Pansy.
Not Pansy. Patsy?
Patsy.
Patsy.
Right,
Oh,
It's just a Patsy.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's close. Pansy and Patsy are pretty close.
I'm from Vero. He was a pansy, like I said.
Careful.
You know, I'm going to buy a house over on Gay Feather.
Now you're in trouble. You complaining about me.
I actually have gay friends that live on Gay Feather. They came down from Long Island. And of all the places to pick, it's like, okay, this is a little. So, and we got a call from San Francisco the other day. They were listening to my
I
show
remember.
up there.
He
See?
sounded very straight though.
Were you here when he called?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was good.
Pretty cool, you know.
Yeah.
So that shows you the
I hope
depth
he
of
calls
it.
again. He said he liked me after I suggested my name.
He said he liked you. Well, that's a whole nother thing.
Well.
He's from San Francisco. He probably wants to have a clandestine meeting with you too, Stanford. Watch out. Want to go have dinner? Okay, so I want to ask Keith Howard. Did you go back into financing, or did you stay an engineer, or what's?
Well, I got into project management. I was more into designing systems and implementing the systems, taking care of customers, and
This
stuff
was
like
for
that.
who?
Well, I started with EDS, then I was in a bunch of small companies.
What is EDS?
Electronic Data Systems. That was Ross Perot's original company.
Okay.
It's an interesting story. He created EDS while he was working for IBM, because IBM back in those days, you had a quota not to how much you had to sell. It's limited you how much you could sell.
Why?
Because it was so easy to sell, because I could come into you and pitch IBM hardware and stuff like this. If you make a mistake with IBM, well, everybody will understand. But if you made a mistake with Digital or one of these other companies, then you're out of a job. So Ross Perot used to make his quota in February. Okay, that's how quickly he made his quota. Then he had nothing to do for the rest of the year, so he started EDS. So that's how the beginning of EDS started. He worked 2 months a year for IBM, and then he worked 10 months a year for EDS.
And while you're out schlepping around doing stories, thinking you got to make a living. Hi, I'm a reporter. I make $27,000 a year, and I'm in at 6 a.m. I leave at 8 p.m. Oh my word, life.
You know, when I was a speechwriter in Washington, it took me about 3 days to write a speech, maybe 4 days. They'd give me 15 days. So then I started writing plays and poems.
They gave you 15 days to write it?
Yes.
People don't realize how long it takes. Like the average sermon takes 18 to 24 hours. The average sermon. So that's what, 3 days of working pretty hard, right? Dick?
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
Well,
Hallelujah.
When I do my finance presentations, I always figure it's 23 hours for an hour meeting.
23 hours for an hour meeting.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, that's the kind of show prep we do. We got to take a break. We'll be back. This buzzer you've removed. Maybe we need the buzzer. How loud is the buzzer on that clock?
No.
You taught him sound effects. We're in trouble.
You've been listening to the Rhett Palmer show with those bad sound effects?
He's becoming more like you every day.
I had to become like that.
Start
because,
Facebook.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we have to watch what we say in here, gentlemen. We are on Facebook.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's it. So,
But I remember when he first came here, this is the mild-mannered man. Now he's in charge like you. I mean, just unreal.
oh, he's, Are you from San Francisco?
It's a song, isn't it?
Because are you going to San Francisco?
That's a BJ's.
Yeah.
BG's.
Yeah. Are you from San Francisco? No, but listen. So,
Can't hear you. What'd you say?
Mr. B, are you from San Francisco?
Heck no.
Okay.
I don't have one in this ear. If I had one in this ear, I'd be from Frisco. And I'd be talking like this.
Just remember you're on Facebook.
Yeah, we're in trouble here.
No.
You're lucky I didn't come in and show it.
I almost moved to San Jose
We
with
don't need
HP.
Did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I couldn't afford it though.
Richard Kerr will be leaving soon, so you have to be careful. He has taste.
I tell you what, Beverly, who's now on vacation for 2 months, she went up to Vermont. Well, she says, he's a bitch. That's what she calls Mr. B. He's a bitch. And he does get that way. He's a little testy.
Well, but he didn't start that
I'm
way.
surprised to hear her say that.
Yeah.
Look, if he's just a little testy after working with Rhett Palmer,
I know.
we're in good shape.
Well,
Yeah, you bet.
Well, he
You bet.
knows how
I
to-
agree with that.
Well,
Hey.
he needs how
Hey.
he deals with you. He does not take you seriously sometimes when you get upset.
He doesn't?
No, but and he should not. I mean, he's
Well,
correct.
there's one. Do you ever notice that when you, I don't know if you go to any nursing homes to visit anybody, or places where black people work, I've noticed black people go, Mr. Rhett.
Yeah.
You see, it's an instant way. Whether you're rich, poor, it don't matter. You're getting dignity.
Yes.
And so I've learned that. It's a great lesson from black people. I mean, that sounds a little prejudiced, but they have this thing, Mr. Rhett, Ms. Ms. Susan, whatever it is, as soon as you meet them, and they know you a little bit, that you get respect. And now I, in turn, do the same thing. And I notice with Mr. B, we did that because his name is Barlaka Wichio, whatever it is, he can't say it. Blah, 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 blah. So we call him, he used to be a teacher, so they called him Mr. B. I said, it's great. So calling him Mr. B brings him up a level because he is Mr. B. And there's just a certain thing, Mr. B. It immediately gives dignity. One thing I think we're lacking in today's society is dignity.
Yeah.
I used to wonder why my mother was a beautiful woman, but she was also intelligent. I always wondered why everybody liked her. I remember I used to record in a recording studio when I was like 19, 20 years of age, and I'd go in there. Hey. My mother comes over to meet everybody, and they all love. So why did everybody always love my mother wherever I went? And I finally realized what it was, because I'm getting there a little bit. I stopped in somewhere the other day, and everybody was nice to me. And I'm thinking, what I've learned is to have dignity. And to give, in other words, to give dignity. Therefore, you have dignity. That she would walk in, and she really respected you. And when you do that, people know that.
They treat you well.
Yeah.
You treat them well.
Absolutely.
That's the whole problem with the media and Trump. There's zero respect between the two of them.
Oh my gosh, it's insanity. But I tell you
And
what, he is supposed to set the president as the president, and his wife told him 6 months ago or 5 months or whatever it was to stop, get off Twitter, whatever.
You can't change your
He's like a little kid that got a toy.
can't change his personality.
What the? I can't figure him out. Usually, I can figure people out.
Well, he's narcissistic. That's his number one. And that's a problem with too. Rich people, I don't know if you've been around rich people, but rich people, they have no concept. They're so used to being able to tell you anything, and you don't debate it, you question it or whatever. So he's not used to people, questioning him and debating him and whatever. But this started way before the presidency. I mean, with the hatred for him. I mean, Obama insulting him in the White House press.
That's because he came after Obama with the.
Well, the Bertha thing. Well, he
I mean,
didn't come up with his birth certificate until 2011 either.
I agree with
A little
what you're saying,
questionable.
but he has the knack for being able to talk to people as well. I mean, he's been involved in talking to a lot of people over his life. People that work for him, carpenters, bricklayers. I think he has a knack of doing that as well. So I don't agree quite with the rich person.
Well, I think it's
always looking down. I think he can relate better than many people.
I think that's on a one-on-one basis.
Yeah,
So
you
when
may
he
be
gets
right.
into the group thing, that's the same thing with Ross Perot. When he was on a one-on-one basis, he's incredible. Once he gets into a group thing, it's
What
like
happened?
he's up here, you're down here.
Yeah,
mean,
I saw that. I covered him a little bit in New York when he came up when he's running for president. And
you just can't question him in a group.
Yeah,
You can.
yeah.
But he cost
He's
George
brilliant.
Bush the election.
Oh, sure he did.
I mean, he had to know that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, was he so blinded by his ego that he thought he might possibly do it? I mean, he took the conservative votes away from George Bush and
That's
gave
right.
it to Bill Clinton.
That's right.
Bill Clinton never would have been president.
No way.
Well, I think part of that is ego. I mean, just doing it. He knew he could do it. He knew he was doing it.
But if he really loved our country, don't you think he would have done better with?
Absolutely.
Well, what is it? Didn't Bill only get 38%?
Yes.
I mean, it's unbelievable because Perot got 19.
Yeah.
Why didn't the? We should talk about this on the air. We're having
Yeah.
the show off the air. Why didn't the liberal vote show up for Hillary? You know. I'll write that down.
Because it's a black thing, actually.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay, so really? Why didn't the liberal
I think we're getting there
Well.
soon, too.
show up? What do you mean?
I'm hearing.
Oh yeah, ads. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
your ads are on now.
Mr. B, if for any reason you can't do the Vero Beach airport, it's okay. I got it right here. I can do a live read. So whenever you say, let's say you didn't do something important, just before we go on, just say do a live read, and then of course I'll forget and I won't do it anyway. But at least we'll try. Maybe 1 out of 10.
Don't worry, it's right after CJ Cannons now.
I've gone to Dr. Mellon, and he's going to do my cataract eyes.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good. Because of me?
Because of you, of course. I've said that when I went over there.
Good. Say it every time you get to it. But yeah, boy, Rhett talks well about you on the air. It's just
Well, I was.
Say it on air.
believe it or not, I used to tell my mom, and she says, "I'm your mom." I said, "It doesn't matter." You walk in and said, "I heard you on Rhett's show, my son's show." It still counts because they go, "Oh, you heard us on the radio." It still counts.
Yeah.
People are, "Oh, no, they know I know you and I'm close." No.
Yeah.
It's still every time because you know what? 99% of the people will never walk in and go, "I'm here to get a steak because Rhett's been talking about your steak," and they go, "Well, we don't know if the radio's working," And then when people have a choice of 4 places to have dinner and they choose this one because they've been hearing it on Rhett's show, then they go, "Why are you here?" "Well, I know, I found you in the Yellow Pages." "Oh, well, we need to increase the advertising in the Yellow Pages. Forget about the radio." Whatever.
He's a brilliant man, that Dr. Mellon. I mean, absolutely high IQ.
You need to hang with him. Did you see that new thing he created? They created this, it's a dome thing, and he's trying to get backers, financial for it now. Are you good at getting venture capital?
Well, I know the richest guy in Brevard County, but
Yeah.
but
This will be. I mean, this town you shouldn't have a hard time. He's created this thing that's going to be in shopping malls, and they already went up and they were at a big convention with doctors. I got a bunch of doctors signed up. So you're in Evergreen. I don't know. Is there an Evergreen, Wisconsin? Let's say there's an Evergreen, or Michigan, or whatever.
Colorado.
Colorado. Okay, Evergreen, Colorado. You walk into the mall. There's a machine. You sit at it, and there's an attendant there. You get an eye examination. I think it costs $49. And then it says, "Well, okay, you're clear. You can go." Next person. "Okay, you have this problem, stigma. But here's a list of the doctors locally that you can call to get set up an
What a
appointment."
great idea.
But it does the examination, and you stay steady, but the thing moves around. They actually have one. They have a prototype right here. They built
Well,
it.
when I went there, they did that. It took about an hour and a half. It's amazing how long, when they really are
There
thorough.
must be a lot of money in that business, though.
Well, he's a 3 handicapper too, so he's not working that hard. He can hit the golf ball.
He can. When I first,
Hey, you're in your open. Stand by.
here we go. My good friend Stanford Erickson, former White House correspondent and author, is in the studio this morning. He's brought along Dick Kerr, former deputy director of the CIA. Yes, the CIA. And we're not talking about the Culinary Institute of America either.
Although, let me tell you a story about that. When I was in the agency, we had a rather lousy dining room because we're out in Langley, Virginia, a long ways away from many restaurants. So it was very difficult, actually. People had to leave the building to get a good lunch. So the then director of administration said, I'm going to fix that. I'm going to get a good dining room here. So he went to the Culinary Institute of America.
In Hyde Park, New York.
And he hired a bunch of their graduates, and he set up a kitchen that was exquisite. It was the best dining room in Washington.
Oh, really?
I mean, but it was always quite amusing too, because people would come in and say, well, that's a really good chef. Who is it? It's the CIA, the Culinary Institute of America. What do you think?
The CIA hired the CIA.
Another time, I'll tell you a story about a dinner
Go
they
ahead,
prepared.
tell us.
Well, you really want to hear a story from me?
We
about
love
that?
stories.
Okay.
Remember, it's always about the stories, gentlemen. If you're ever asked to speak somewhere, it's all about the stories.
At one point in time when I was deputy director, I decided that it would be interesting to invite all the deputies of the various departments in the government,
Yeah.
Interior, and people that I didn't ordinarily deal with. Because ordinarily I dealt with defense, intelligence people, National Security Council, State Department, and FBI, and kind of the law enforcement and foreign policy community, but not the other parts of the government, Interior and Commerce and all that. So I said, I'm going to invite all the deputies to a dinner at the agency. So I got all the deputies and their spouses, and they came out to our CIA run dining room. And I decided we'd put on a little show for them, because most of them had never had any experience with CIA.
Because they must have grown because they thought they were going to get cafeteria food. They had no idea, huh?
In any case, we gave them a couple talks about foreign policy.
Yeah.
I think I had the head of the person who was our Soviet expert talk about the Soviet Union, and somebody came in and talk about China.
Yeah.
And at one point in time, we had made up all of the servers in fake mask. And at one point in time, they took off their mask at the end of the dinner. And I tell you, the dinner was a hit. I heard about it. People said, when are we going to have another dinner? When are we going to...
Like Tom Cruise, right? You take off that face.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really a successful dinner. It was more fun. And it was good also, because it allowed me to meet a lot of people that I didn't know. And once in a while, we had a relation where we had a problem with somebody. You could call them up and say, remember dinner?
Now, Dick Kerr, you were the deputy director of the CIA.
Right.
You've been on my show, 7 times now? Whatever.
Yeah, at
Something
least,
like
yeah.
that. Maybe
Yeah.
7, 10 times. Okay, so would you have hired me?
For what?
I don't know. But,
You never know. I mean,
it's fun that, you get to know people on a natural, but there was one time when you would walk in to see Dick Kerr, and he was the deputy director of the CIA, you'd be shaken. You'd be
Yeah.
nervous. I mean, first of all, you don't know if the guy has cameras in your bathroom at night. I wonder, do they know about that incident?
Well, the nice thing about Richard Kerr is that he's so normal. And he was from Oregon. I mean, we think of the head of the CIA. Alan Dulles was not normal. Okay.
Dulles Airport?
But Richard Kerr is that our country puts people like Richard Kerr, who's just a normal person, got to that level. It speaks so well for our country. It really does.
You think he's normal. See, if you told you the truth of who he really was, he'd have to shoot you.
He's a very talented person, but in many countries it's hard to get there.
Stanford's right. I was a kind of ordinary person, and I always, when I was there, I always thought, my God, look at where I am, and isn't this exciting?
Yeah.
I never forgot that.
Yeah.
Never forgot where I came from, because my background is not particularly sterling. Most of the people I worked with were the Harvard Yaleys and all the Princetons and all Although not a lot of them. Some, I mean, not
Not
all
the
of them.
common proletariat get up there as executive director, you know.
Yeah.
But you know what? More often it is that. Look at how many people, the great leaders today that, you know, the wealthiest guy I know at Johns Island has an 8th grade education. Okay? I mean, that's just the beginning. Look
Well,
at
I
Steve
I don't think I
Steve-
was the brightest person around, but what I
I'd
had,
agree with that.
what I had, yeah, you would.
I'm only kidding.
But what I had was good common sense, and I knew
Yeah.
what sounded right, and I was an excellent intelligence officer.
You know what? You're right
Good
about the
instincts.
common sense. The one thing I've learned in life, and the reason I haven't gone further, is this. And I speak with truth, not forked tongue. Your ability, I love people, but your ability in a business situation to get along with people.
That helps.
It helps. It makes it. I'll guarantee you, 90% of the people in positions are less capable of of the person that could have been in that position and done a better job, but was not hired because people hire people they can get along with.
Right. Well, the richest person in the United States did not graduate college.
There you go. Now, are you talking about Warren Buffett or the
Bill
other?
Gates.
Bill Gates. And Warren Buffett, you know, he still lives in the same little brick house that he bought when he was starting out.
Well, he's the cheapest human being in the world, so.
Yeah.
Oh, is he?
To
Oh.
excess.
Yeah, he's only become philanthropist since he's been in his 80s. So,
Well, what are you going to do with all that money?
well, now he's just going to give it away on his death.
Yeah, but I can tell you I've known people like him. What it is it's not that he's not salivating with wanting stuff. It's that's the game, and he wins because he thinks whoever has the most toys at the end is the winner. You know, and so he wants to. In him, for some reason, there's this empty space, and that's what he's trying to fill it with.
One
And
thing
I-
about Gates that's very interesting is I met Fran Tarkington one time when I was a kid, and he was the
Oh, really?
quarterback of the New York Giants. He was actually on a subway going to the game, and I was
Oh,
one of the
my word.
little vendors.
What did you think?
And I just sat next to him because I was almost the same size as him. And I just asked, I said, how do you survive in this environment with these
Giants.
behemoths around you? And he says, I know my limitations. And that's always stuck with me. And when Bill Gates was the head, the CEO of Microsoft, people don't remember, but he actually demoted himself because he says, I am beyond my capabilities as a CEO. And he demoted
The
himself.
Peter principle.
Right, so he could get back into what he felt comfortable with. So how would you like to be
Now,
the
there's
boss of
humility in action.
Yeah.
You know,
Or common sense.
What was it Clint Eastwood said? A man's got to know his limitations, you know, which is true. You remember that movie, Dirty Harry?
Yeah.
A man's got to know his limitations.
Which he didn't have.
Now, he's got, hey, I might have one bullet in here and I might not. It could be your lucky day, and it might not. Drop the gun. You know? Remember that scene?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Then he shot him.
I don't think so. No, don't say
He did.
that.
He did
No,
shoot him.
did he?
Yes, he did.
That was based on the Zodiac Killer,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
that movie.
Yeah. I'd love to meet Clint Eastwood.
He's
Very,
got
very
now.
talented.
He's a person that's got some humility and
Oh,
some
without a doubt.
common sense
And
and,
here he was-
ability to deal with
Sure.
others at a kind of different level.
Yeah.
That's interesting
Yeah,
to watch
I
him.
could work for Clint Eastwood. He's so peaceful, easygoing.
I wonder if he's really like that.
Unlike a lot of directors that take 50,000 shots from every angle, he goes in. They could do one shot. I said, "That's it. We got it. You don't want to do a backup one? Let's move on." And he gets it done, you know. And he's very deliberate. But here, I remember when I was a kid on Friday nights, Rawhide, remember? And he was Rowdy or Howdy or whatever his name was in that show. Anyway, so I would get an old pie tin. Remember they used to have those old pie tins, you know? And I'd make some baked beans and some bread and butter, and then I'd go in and I'd sit and I'd watch it and wait till they went to the chow wagon. And then I'd eat with the cowboys, you know. and I don't know, funny kid, huh? So anyway, he, you know, so you would think because he was typically in our society a really good-looking young guy. Come on, when we were younger, or when you were younger, when you saw Clint Eastwood, you thought, you know, probably not much of a. But look how deep he's highly revered in Hollywood. That guy's a great director.
Yes. He's a musician. He's a director. He writes songs. Very
He reads
talented person.
And
he
he's a
reads
conservative.
poetry. He likes
Which is
he likes
shocking.
fables. He reads fables, you know. So it's that it teaches you can't judge a book by its cover. Just because he's good looking doesn't mean he's stupid.
And he was also the mayor of Carmel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he lives in Carmel. Oh, my.
And he said, what did he say? And I learned a lesson from him. He said, you walk in, and there'll be 9 people like you and accept you, and then there's one guy that's just got to go. Yeah, who do you think you are? They're defensive, and they want to pick a fight. You haven't said anything to them. They just, and I've learned this from radio talk hosts too. You walk in, a lot of people, hi, how you doing? I listen to your show. And there's always one person that folds his arms and goes, you think you're special. Yeah, want to fight, Oh, brother. You got to get rid of those guys, So let's see. So would you hire me or not? You're not sure?
Depends what I was looking for.
Depends on if I came in with a sack of money and put it behind the desk.
Depends
So,
what I needed and why.
So what do you think? Well, is Trump going to be good for the stock market?
Well, in the short term, it'll be good for the stock market. What people don't understand, he may be very good for the economy, but he may not be good for the stock market, but it's not his fault. And the reason is that if you go back in history and you look at price-earnings ratio, that's the price of a stock over what earnings are, you'll find that the best presidents for the stock market are the ones that come in when the price-earnings ratio is low, and the worst ones for the stock market are when they come in when it's high. And right now he's coming in at the second highest level in history. Only George Bush came in at a higher level. And so it just, if price earnings, even if earnings don't go down, even if earnings go up, if the price comes down of the stock, the stock market looks bad. I know Trump is going around saying he's added $3 trillion to the stock market, but he better watch out, because if the stock market decides to reverse down,
But isn't that just a common? I mean, I'm not a financier and I don't know the words and the language, but isn't that the logic? As if you come in at something when it's high, the chances of it going lower while you're there is good. If you come in when things are low, the chances of it getting better are pretty good. Isn't that just the logic of kind of any circumstance?
That's the normal thing, but unfortunately the populace doesn't understand that. And so they'll just see, oh, the market dropped.
They look
or
at the
whatever.
outcome.
So I'm going to say that the market, we're going to have a major correction during Trump's
Sure.
tenure. I don't know if it's the 4 years, the 8 years. I have no idea when it's going to come. But we're at such high levels now. The only times we've
It's
ever
hard to
been
go higher.
Well, the only time we've been higher is during the tech bubble. And the whole point is that the president really has very little impact on the stock market. It's actually the Federal Reserve has a much bigger impact. I mean, one of the things that I always say in my investment group that I teach is the 90s. When you talk to a Democrat, they'll tell you, whoa, it was Clinton's policies that made the 90s so great. And if you talk to a Republican, they'll say it's the contract with America that made it great. But actually, it was Greenspan, because Greenspan was so afraid of Y2K that all the computers were going to stop working. He just flooded the market with money. I mean, he just flooded the world because he was afraid that all the ATMs and everything weren't going to work, and so you weren't going to be able to get money. So everybody had to have money in order to be able to transact.
Remember, that was when going to 2000, the new millennium.
Right.
And they were afraid that all the computers would not work and the clocks wouldn't work. And
Right,
that
because
was their
everything,
concern.
all the computers were
I
based
still
on
got
two
some
digits.
cans of water and peas in my house.
Probably, and then all of a sudden Y2K happened, and boom, all of a sudden nothing happened. So what did Greenspan do? Well, he turned off the money supply, and then what happened? Well, we went into a recession, and people blamed 9/11 and other things like that. But it was
Rather
really
than blaming him.
But it was
And
really
I had a
Greenspan.
local president of a local bank here in Vero Beach that was a sponsor of my show. Put all your money into .commerce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well-
.bombers. I lost it all. And then he sold the bank and walked away a multimillionaire.
Well, the thing
You know?
is, Bush gets
Yeah, we used to have dinners at Cafe de Soie. Now he's off somewhere in the world traveling around his private jet, and I'm still stuck here going, .bombers. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
But I was going to say Bush gets blamed for the 2008 recession,
Yeah.
but that was actually created in the 90s because Clinton in 1995, I believe, made HUD lower the credit standards. Okay, and now all of a sudden you got people who, because at that point in time, 62% of the country were able to own homes, and then
No docs.
Right, and so that went up, and then Graham Rudman in 1999, to give the Republicans their due in the help of destroying it, they allowed the investment companies just to do whatever they wanted. So you're taking low interest loans that people shouldn't have had in the first place because they can't pay them back. You put a little frosting on top.
Bundle them together.
Right, bundle them together, show them as A-rated crap, I guess is the proper word.
Have you seen the movie Moneyball?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the future. Let's step into the future. I mean, if we could know who out there should really be president, can you imagine the future? There's a computer, and it says, "We found Mr. Dorfman, who's a janitor in Wisconsin, and he would be the best. Has the to analyze, because it's like, but."
No longer the mayor of the airways; it's the president of the airways. We found him.
Maybe IBM Watson.
Hey, you never know. Do you remember? Do you know what Pence was? Pence was a radio talk host.
Yes.
So you never know. That's
And
right.
he can't sing either.
Yeah, you better be nice to Rhett, because you never know. I might end up in the White House. There's only one time I thought I should have been in the White House, because I think it's arrogant to think. I just can't imagine running for office. But anyway, and that's when I met Quayle. He's a nice man.
That's about it.
But he really was, I'm sitting here going blink, blink, and we're waiting. And then I had to follow him through a labyrinth. And so we had to go out back doors, and we had to go up fire escapes and stuff because, he's famed, So we end up going through this window. We're in the store, and there's a camera there. He says, "I got to do this one-on-one with CNN or something, and then we'll do our interview." Then he shouts out, "Compact! Anybody got a compact? I need a compact!" And some lady opens up, click, her purse, and goes, "Here, you can use my compact." And he starts to put the makeup all over his face,
He's very fair.
And then and then he did the interview, and I was thinking, there, but for a $500 million inheritance, go I. I said, if you said today that should we elect. I would say I would make a better vice president than Quayle. Now, if that sounds arrogant, I'm sorry. But anyway, because I don't think that highly of myself, trust me. But with Trump, now we all know, those of us who read any literature, you're a writer.
Yes.
Okay. Trump does not have the greatest command of the English. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Hey, the CIA is going to be the greatest it's ever been. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Everything's great.
Believe me.
Believe me. So is it because, should I, we've all lived long enough to know that you can't be an expert. I don't know if you guys, when you were younger, but as a male, an American male, I had to be good at everything. And you get a little humbled when you're older, and you go, no, you're not going to be a dentist. So you're going to surrender yourself to a dentist. No, you're not great with finances. You need to find a financial guru. No, blah, 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 right? We find out that we all work collectively, we succeed. Just like when I had world-class economists come in here. These are the creme de la creme, which, I can hardly hold a conversation with them. And they said this country works best when we have a balance of Democrats and Republicans. That balance is, so we don't want it all to be to the right, even if you are a far-right guy like I am,
I don't think you're a far-right guy.
Not really.
No.
Yeah, probably not. Maybe I wish I was a far. What do you think? That's a good enough. What do you think I am?
I think from a moral point of view, you're someone that's a conservative from a moral point of view, and people identify that politically. No, that's a moral, that's a cultural point of view. You're conservative. In other ways, you're very, very liberal. Think of it that way.
Well, it is. I certainly haven't made up my mind. I don't know how you guys feel, but he says I have to take a break. Well, we'll talk about social medicine when we come back. Because when I go,
Actually, one thing that I saw the clock, and this would take a long time, but what makes Trump successful, a company I worked for, we won the Malcolm Baldrige Award, which is the National Quality Award.
Okay.
And one of the things that we always knew is that we had to keep we had to keep it simple for the masses. Okay, you need to have taglines. That's the reason why some commercials you remember, like E.F. Hutton.
Yeah.
To speak,
Commercials that are out there today, I go, what are they selling?
right. But if you've got a good tagline,
Yeah.
okay, then people remember it. His was very good. Make America Great Again. Boom. It was simple, understandable. I mean what was hers? I'm with her. I mean, what the hell is that? I mean,
I'm with her?
Yeah, that was
That was
Hillary's.
one of them. She came up with different taglines about every other week.
Yeah, I mean,
None of them very good.
None of them very.
But you have to be careful with your simple for the masses. That sounds very much like Lenin.
well, yeah, okay, but I mean, you have to frame.
But you're
things,
right.
You have to frame things for people. Because I used to work with the director of communications when we were going for the
why
Baldrige
Reagan was
Award.
so great.
And she said, we got to keep it simple. And the three things we have to do is we have to communicate, and when we're done communicating, we need to communicate again.
Well,
And you just have to keep, and that's what he did. Make America
Reagan
great.
was the master.
Build a
Reagan was
wall.
the master.
Why was Reagan the master?
Simple statements repeated again and again.
Right.
Isn't that? I think that's fair.
But
complex statements.
What people didn't understand about Reagan is he was a very profound intellectual person
But
who
right.
sometimes the oxen's razor, the most profound people can see it simply.
That's right. That's exactly
Einstein could see it simply
right.
because they're profound enough to see the whole thing and know that this is what it means.
And
that's what Reagan has. I don't think Trump has that kind of level yet.
We
But
really
Reagan
should
had
do
that.
this on air.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Well, that's why I didn't want to bring this in
Yeah.
because I saw the clock and I knew. But
you're right.
But think of advertising because that's really the best. Think of commercials that go way back.
It's not just
And you all of a sudden you
Ring around the collar.
simple
the
writing
Maytag guy. I mean,
Winston tastes
Yeah,
good like that.
absolutely.
cigarette.
Yes.
I mean,
And
all
I think
those
that's
type
a
of
gift
things.
you have
You
as well.
remember them forever
That's a
because
gift.
they're
That's-
such good
that's what you
taglines.
call
They're
common
simple,
sense. It's not
easy
common
to
sense. It's
understand.
being able to see it from way back here.
And the people who get complex,
And most people
they don't.
can't.
They're
Especially the very
or they're
bright
not
people.
clear.
They're so focused on
They
here,
don't
can't go
connect.
back.
But I know my own weaknesses. I'm not a strategic thinker.